guys, I am Nagarjun. Let's begin with the Atmal 8051 interface with the DC motor and the lamp. Here are the simulation software that is I am using is the PROTEUS. Before going on to the simulation, let us take a slight glance at the code. Here I have declared a header file as /stg of generic family 51, that is Atmal family of 8051, and I have used three sensors which are connected to the port 1 of the pin number 1, 2 and 3, but I have specified 0, 1, 2, and I have been using three loads, that is one DC motor and two lamp which are connected to the port 2 of pin number 21, 22 and 23. And then initially I have considered all the loads and all the sensors or the buttons in this case as 0 and entering into an infinite loop. While that condition is true, if one of the buttons or the sensor is excited or in the high or in the on state, then the corresponding load will also be in the high or excited or the on state. Similarly, now let us go on to the simulation. Before going on to the simulation, I have already specified all the components that I will be using in this simulation. As you can see, I am using an alternator, providing an alternate supply of positive half cycle and negative half cycle, and I have been using a Atmal 89C51, that is 8051 microprocessor, and DC547, that is the transistor. As you know, it is used for amplifying and switching loads, and I am using a button, or you can use any sensors. I have used a button because it would be nice to control, because I am not providing any external stimuli. So instead of providing an external stimuli, I will be providing a power supply of 5 volt. I have been using a lamp, I have been using a motor, DC motor, and a relay. A relay is nothing but an electrical switch that uses electromagnetism to convert small electrical stimuli into a larger current. Now let's go on to the simulation. Now let me take the buttons and select those. Connect to port 1 and for port 1. This will be number 1, 2 and 3. Okay. As you can see, I have been connecting to the pin number 1, 2 and 3. Now since I am not providing any external supply, as I told earlier, I will be supplying them to the power supply. And now I am going to select the terminals, that is the power, and then I am going to specify a power. Okay, and then connect the power, and then now since the motor here doesn't require any external supply, because I am using a single motor, so I don't require L293D motor driver. Now I will be using a relay. I will be requiring 3 relays in order to control the three objects. Circuit construction is, as you can see, our circuit construction is almost over. And then the important part is that now before submitting this, you have to save the target, that is the source code, in the form of a hexadecimal format, and then you have to import the code on this 89C51 so that it can read the code. So as you can see, I have specified the oscillator crystal frequency as 11.0592 clock frequency, and I have already selected the street lamp, that is a DC motor code, and then I have already selected, since I am not going to do that. Okay, and then since I have connected everything, okay, now let's save it. File, save, and then okay, let's start the simulation. Before moving on to the simulation, check whether all the relays are at 5 volts applied, because if the relay is above the 12 volt, then it may damage the drivers or the DC motors or the microprocessor. And before moving on to the further simulation, check if all the buttons are in the off condition, and if you are using a sensor, see that there is no any input to those sensors. Now let's begin the simulation, as I already imported the key file into the microprocessor. you can see this is the simulation button. Pressing the button, and you can see that our circuit is completely error free. And then upon providing any simulation, upon pressing the button, you can see that one of the motor will be rotating in a clockwise and anti-clockwise. You can change the motor rotation accordingly in the code, if you want it a forward wise or if you want it the reverse direction. Similarly, if I stop the button 1 and provide the input to button 2, then you can see that the lamp will be glowing, as you can see here. And if I stop the button 3 similarly and provide the supply to the button 3, you can see that the lamp 3 will be glowing. Thank you.